There's only one flaw to doing a best of 2023 album the last week of November. You got to hope and take a chance, take a gamble that December, one of the biggest releases of the year, isn't going to come out. Well, I gambled and I lost. Fact is, December was one of the biggest months for heavy metal in the year 2023. So now I have to go in and make some changes, because December of 23, there was some epic releases that not only changed my mind about what was the best in 2023, but also whet my appetite and gave us a vision into what 2024 is going to look like. What were those releases? Find out next. Welcome, metal enthusiasts, to another episode of The Metal Dude Abides. Now, before we get into the video, I want to give a big thank you. December was by far the biggest month in this channel. As you know, we've been at this not quite 6 months, and December, I just can't thank the people enough. Thank you for viewing the videos. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. And most of all, thank you for all the music that you turned me on to in the comments. Lots of viewers giving me their top 10 choices and turning me on to a lot of very good metal. As I say in my videos, I'm not a full-time music person. I do have a full-time job. I do have a full-time family. And so there's no way for one person to look at everything metal in the year. And boy, did the fans come through. You, the viewer, came through and turned me on to some great music. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you again. By far the biggest month in the history of this channel, and I have you guys to thank for that. Thank you very much. Now, before we get to the video, if you weren't one of these many wonderful people who subscribe to the channel or put comments into the videos in December, January, let's turn over a new leaf. Let's do a New Year's resolution that you can stick to by subscribing to the channel. Join up with the dozens of people that showed up last month and subscribed, and you'll be informed of all the great content going in 2024. Unfortunately, got a little sick over the holidays, so we were a little slow to get back into the content this year, but we should be putting out new and fantastic programs for the entire year of 2024. Subscribe, ring the bell, do the like, and you'll be informed each and every week when we put out our new content. With that being said, let's get to the video. All right, enough teasing, enough talking about it. There was some huge releases in December of 2023. So much so that I'm going to have to revamp some of my lists. But one release in particular stood out, and we kind of teased it in the thumbnail. If you'll notice, it's a very subtle hint, but when we talked about the epic release, the EP portion of that word is highlighted and capitalized, because the release I'm talking about is not an album, but it is an EP, an extended play by Orbit Culture, and they put out an EP called The Forgotten. Now, The Forgotten is an amazing disc, first and foremost. One of the things that I think is somewhat not used a lot in the heavy metal community, we don't talk a lot about EPs, and quite frankly, there's not a lot of EPs released in the year. Most bands still put out singles. Most bands still put out albums. So the EP is kind of a something that's used in a lot of other genres more heavily, but you don't see too much of it in heavy metal. So as I was going through the year 2023, I would have put pretty heavy money down on the best EP had come and gone. And of course, that was Spiritbox, The Fear of Fear. A fantastic EP, and again, one that I thought would easily be the EP of the year. And then Orbit Culture decided, after putting out one of the best albums of the year, to just go ahead and put out an EP in the same year that blew everything away. Now, this EP only has 3 songs on it. The first track is a song called While We Serve. Based on the listens on Spotify, I would say this is probably the most well-received of the 3 songs, or the most popular. It's got a huge amount of people listening to it, and with good reason. It is an absolute banger. This song is fantastic, has an accompanying video, really good stuff. The second song is probably the least listened to on Spotify at the moment, and that's a song called The Upheaval. Now listen, I think all 3 of these songs are fantastic, but I actually like The Upheaval even a little bit more than the more popular While We Serve. It's a little heavier, a little more, but also just an absolute banger. Again, these first 2 songs, both really good. However, my favorite song, and it's by far, is the final track on the EP, Sound of the Bell. I like this song so much that I need to revise my top 20 list that I put out back in early December and make this the number 5 song of the year 2023. It is, I can't get it out of my head. I'm playing it constantly. It is great. Sound of the Bell. You need to go to my playlist. Now, one of the things that I decided to do is I had to put this song in the list. It's, like I said, way up in the top 5. But I'd already put out my top 20. So what to do? So what I've decided is to revise the list that I put out in early December. Instead of it being a top 20 list, it'll be a top 25 list. So if you look at the description in the description below, you'll see both a YouTube playlist, and for those of you who have a Spotify account, a Spotify playlist. Those will have the top 25 songs. They have been updated. If you go to my top 20 videos, I also put in that description an updated top 25 list as well. So go out, play the list, and you'll be able to hear all of these wonderful songs, including this instant classic, Sound of the Bell. Now, I went from 20 to 25. I've added 1 song, so I've added 4 others. I decided to put a viewer's choice song in at number 11, and this one was an easy one. I have been inundated with fans of the band Love Bites. This is an all-female band out of Japan, kind of a power metal. They have a song called Stand and Deliver. I had not heard of Love Bites, but right away I got turned on to this music, and this band is great. I've had a lot of people really raving about the dual guitars. The vocalist is fantastic. Check it out at number 11, Love Bites with Stand and Deliver. And then finally, I added at number 23, 24, and number 25 respectively, I put another Orbit Culture song in from their previous album, The Descent, From the Inside. I had mentioned in the comments to one of my viewers that, I had really wrestled with putting this song in the original top 20. It was kind of that one that just, I liked the other songs, and this one just was on the cutting floor. But the minute I did it, I was already regretting it. So this allowed me to remedy that situation. And again, this is from a completely different release from Orbit Culture. So they come in at number 23, From the Inside. And then at 24, I hope I'm saying this right. Ne Obliviscaris has a fantastic song called Equus coming in at 24. I am not generally a fan of 10 plus minute songs unless they are epic and do a fantastic job. Equus fits the bill. I'm in love with this song. It's not my usual cup of tea, but it's just too good to leave off. And finally, rounding up the top 25 at number 25 is Nightmare by Polaris. So there you go. We've gone from 20 to 25. We have a new song in the top 5, and we have a fantastic viewer's choice with Love Bites. So there you go. One EP caused a tremendous ripple through my entire list. Check it out again in the description below, and just play the songs from 1 to 25, and I think you're going to love this playlist. It is full of great songs. And so the year 2023 goes out in a bang. This EP was such a tremendous release, made me go back in and redo my song list. But there were some other releases that came out in December that are going to have a huge effect on the year 2024. What are they? Let's check them out. Now, going back to my best of top 20 songs of 2023, we talked about Judas Priest coming in an honorable mention category for their song Trial by Fire. And my reasoning was very simple. I'm not going to give them credit for this song because they're producing an album in early 2024, and we'll talk about those songs then. I'm old school. I talk about it at that time, that there's singles that lead up to an album, but the album is still the crown jewel. And so when we talk about Judas Priest and their new album, we want to talk about all the songs. And I think it's kind of lame to say, oh, well, their song of the year in 2023 as a single, and then turn right around in 2024 and talk about what a great song it is off the album. So though those songs, while good, will be considered for the best of top 20 songs in 2024. And along the way in December, there were 4 other singles that are going to have a huge impact because they're going to be released on albums in 2024. The first one I want to point out is a newer band, Any Given Day. Now, Any Given Day has produced not 1, not 2, but count them 6 singles in the year 2023, going all the way back to their first single in June, Apocalypse. Every single that they've done, all 6 of them, are fantastic. The last one, however, was in later December, Come Whatever May. Kind of a Texas-y, bluesy, kind of a hell yeah, Texas hippie coalition kind of groove to it. I don't know where they come up with that because they are not from Texas. They're from Germany. But it's a really cool Western sounding song. I think you'll really like it. But all 6 singles are spectacular. Again, maybe the best one of the bunch is the one they put out in June, Apocalypse. But like I said, all are good. They are coming out with an album later in January called Limitless. And if this album is as good as these 6 singles pretend them to be, we're talking maybe early nominee for Album of the Year. That's how good this new band is. They've got a lot of melody, but they've got a lot of riffage to them. I love this band a lot, and I want you to give them a listen. They've got 6 singles out. Go check them out, and if you like them, their album is coming out the last week of January. Again, the album is Limitless. I think it's going to be one of the biggest albums of 2024. Now, the next 3 are from more of your classic bands. One of those being a band that's on my wall, kind of. So, Beware the Seal back here. One of my favorite bands of all time was a band by the name of Riot. And while they have gone through some changes and gone through different incarnations of this band, they're currently going by the name Riot 5 or Riot V. You can choose your if it's a Roman numeral or a capital V, you decide. But they've got a song out right now called High Noon, again released in December. That is a scorcher. I really dig this song, and it is going to be part of an album coming out now. I thought it was coming out a little bit earlier. Last time I went out to check the date, looks like it's been pushed back to April. I'm really looking forward to this. This is, again, one of my favorite bands. The name of the album is Mean Streets. You may not have ever heard of Riot because, again, they kind of broke up in the 80s and then have had various starts and restarts. Very big over in Japan, really not huge here in the States, but I have a feeling this could change things. The first song, High Noon, really good. The other two are from maybe more mainstream, popular that you've heard of. One of those is from Bruce Dickinson. And this is his first solo album since I believe around 2005, since him and Maiden have gotten back together. They've pretty much worked exclusively as Iron Maiden. Why am I so excited about this? I'll tell you. Back when Iron Maiden broke up in the early 90s, Bruce Dickinson went his way. Steve Harris and Iron Maiden continued. If you would have had me put money on which side of that equation I would have ended up, I would have bet good money that I would have just stuck with Iron Maiden. Love Steve Harris, love all the stuff that Iron Maiden had done up to that point. I don't have a lot of hot takes. I think my takes are fairly mainstream takes, but this one might come in a little bit hot. If you take a look at all the albums that Bruce Dickinson did, that Iron Maiden did, with or without Bruce Dickinson, since the day they broke up, the best album by far was one of the solo albums that Bruce Dickinson did, The Chemical Wedding. And quite frankly, I would probably put the top 3 albums since the Iron Maiden breakup all as Bruce Dickinson solo albums. I'm as surprised as you are. If you've never heard The Chemical Wedding, I'm going to go back. This is the Metal Historian. I got to talk about the past sometimes. If you've never heard The Chemical Wedding and you're a big fan of Iron Maiden, go check it out. It is one of the best albums. I would put The Chemical Wedding up there with like Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Somewhere in Time, that high of echelon. Fantastic. So whenever Bruce Dickinson says he's working with the old band, putting out another solo album, I'm intrigued. And the first first single off this, Afterglow of Ragnarok, nothing that I just went gaga over, but there's something there, I think. I really like it, and I think it has some real potential. They are also putting out an album, I believe, in February called The Mandrake Project, so I'm really looking forward to that release as well. Like I said, this could be a huge album for Bruce Dickinson, and if you're an Iron Maiden fan, I think you might be in for a big treat. The last one I'm going to discuss is, it's kind of interesting. I have kind of a sordid history with the band Motley Crue. Really liked them when they came out of the gate. Loved Too Fast for Love. Loved Shout at the Devil. And it's been pretty spotty for me ever since. And so when I heard Mick Mars was putting out a solo album, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was a little ho-hum, okay, whatever. Wasn't very excited with it at all. And then, back in November, he put out his first single, Loyal to the Lie. Wasn't too bad. In fact, I kind of liked it a little bit. Made me intrigued a little bit, like, ooh, this sounds pretty good. But in December, they put it up a notch. Game changer. They put out a second single, Right Side of Wrong. and it is great. One of the most infectious riffs you're going to ever hear. I really like his new singer. I like the sound that they have. And if these two singles are any indication, his album, The Other Side of Mars, is going to be a surprise hit. So between Bruce Dickinson, Mick Mars doing solo projects, the fantastic band Riot coming back, and the brand new Any Given Day album, oh boy, I think January through, I think Riot's coming out in April. The first 4 months of the year are going to be fantastic. And again, we haven't even talked about the March release that Judas Priest is putting together. And we haven't even talked about the fantastic album Saxon's putting together. They had a single back in in November called Hellfire and Damnation, and it sounds pretty good too. Man, the new wave of British heavy metal coming in strong. Saxon and Maiden, Riot coming in. I'm in heaven. So a lot of very interesting singles that came out in December are going to be back in the first few months of 2024 in the form of some very interesting albums. Speaking of albums, we've talked a lot about these great singles. We've talked about this epic EP release. Let's talk about an album that came in December that might be flying under the radar that I think you might be interested in. I do want to do an album spotlight each month. We talked about all the exciting albums that are coming out in 2024, but there was an album that kind of flew under the radar in December of 2023 from the band Deathyard and their album No Longer in Pain. Deathyard's a trio from Warsaw, Poland that has a really great sound. Go check it out. Some of my favorite songs on this album: Source of Life, Mirror. They've got this really cool Spanish guitar intro sound on the song Redemption. And again, another really good song, Awakening. So if you're looking for a new band to support with a really great sound, go check out Deathyard. I think you'll really like their release as well. So lots of new music coming out, lots of classic music, just getting ready to ramp up in 2024. As you can see, December, a lot going on. So I wanted to do a quick rundown of everything that was happening in December. What's coming up on this channel next week. Again, because I was suffering from a cold over the holidays, we're about a week behind where I wanted to be. So, wow, we're right into all the thick of it. There is going to be a new Saxon album next week. We'll be reviewing that, baby. I'm very excited to hear what the boys from Saxon are doing. We talked about this all the time. There are Iron Maiden and Saxon are probably my two favorite bands still in play from the new wave of British heavy metal. They are putting out, they have put out well over 20 albums, and surprisingly enough, the quality of those albums just continues to be strong. So let's see what Saxon has to say. Let's get this show rolling with a great new album from them. So again, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the subscribe button, and we will be providing you content every week of the year. You don't want to miss this big review of Saxon coming up next week. You don't want to miss our big review of Judas Priest coming out in March, where not only are we going to be reviewing their new album, we're also going to be doing a first ever Judas Priest discography on this channel as well. So subscribe so you don't miss any of the exciting content. In the meantime, this is the Metal Dude signing off. See you on Tuesday. And in the meantime, take care.